Ready. Good afternoon to everybody. Welcome. Here we are in our series of online MAR Fund webinar series. Welcome to all of you once again. Today we're going into presentation number 9 of the webinar MAR Fund, and we're going to present it we're also going to be presented in our social networks and in our digital social media. So welcome. We're going to share some small information before, and if you need translations in the bottom of your screen of the Zoom, look at interpretation, and there you can choose, or if in Facebook Like, you can also go into the language that you seek. And there you will find your interpretation in English. And we can select the English language and put in mute the original sound so that you can listen only to the interpretation into English. Some basic rules for the seminar. We're going to try to foster a space of learning and respect. Please also put off your cameras and your mics that are deactivated during the seminar, and we'll only have it with their interpreters and the presenters only. And our presenters today. After the presentation, you can activate your cameras and your microphones and also raise your hands if you have questions. So meanwhile, please write your complete name, the country and the organization in the chat so that we know who's there. And if you have any questions that you can do it on the chat of Zoom, or if you're in Facebook Like, you can do it in the comments of Facebook. At the end of the presentations today, we can also have a space for questions, and you can also direct your question directly to the because of the type of question, or leave it open as you want. So once more, in the name of Marfan, welcome. And as I say, it's our 9th seminar, and this is it's called the tool and systematic information and linkage for resilient fishing sector. She is the presentation is Gabriela Alejandra Cuevas Gomez, is a biologist at the University of the Sea in Oaxaca, and she has a master in natural resources and rural development. She's got lots of information and experience in the fishing communities, and she's been doing the collection of data on the coast. She works in the north and south of. She's worked on the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico, and she has experience in the strengthening women and men fishers in subjects such as the identifying fishers, the type of tools, digital tools that we can use, and this is also in the organization of fishers. And she's now working in COBI in the innovation strategic area, giving her activities in the technical development and implementing the digital platform called Blue Innovation and application of PESCADA. She is going to present the PESCADA tool, which is for the resilient. Our second conferencee is Magdalena Precora de la Mora. She's also curator for the COVID, and the COVID is our special guest today. And she is a marine biologist. She's graduated in the University of Baja California South, and she has 7 years working in COBI, working in the process of design and implementation of projects in conservation, marine conservation, hand in hand with communities. And in the last 3 years, she has focused her work on identifying, documenting, and mobilizing solutions in the communities of the coast so that they can create the resilience and sustainable oceans. She's going to give it a presentation, and hers is called Mar of Digital Solutions. So we have those two of COBI. COBI works with fishers of both genders to diminish the digital gap that there is in the sector through the use of innovations and technologies, which allows them to be connected with the fishers sector to co-create, upscale, and implement solutions that will allow for recovering of the marine resources, resilience, and the well-being of the communities. And this, she's got experience in both coasts, the Pacific and the Atlantic. So thanks to this that they have done, they also incorporate the communities, and they put in it to the PESCADA tool. This also, and it supports these communities. So we welcome both our conferences, and we also inform public that we have, these are the social media that we have in Facebook and Twitter, in Instagram, and you can see the icon there, and you can look for us in our web page in Marfund Point, and also in this. We can also see also the webinars that we've already recorded before this one. So therefore, I'm not going to take any more time away from our welcome, Magda, welcome, Magabi, and you have the microphone, and the public, we're at your disposition. Thank you very much. And now I will share, Gabriela says she'll share her screen with all of you. Can you check to see if you see it correctly? Yes, super, thank you. So thank you, Elisa. So good morning, or good day, everybody. I want to thank you for the invitation and for the space that we're going to do for the webinar of Marfund. So we want to be able to share with a little bit of what we do in this area. So aligned with this subject, with the digital tools that are focused on fishing communities, I'm going to talk to you about a digital tool that has to do particularly on fishers. And this tool, works towards systematizing the information and in linking it with the fishers sector, and also other sectors that also. Before anything else, before going into the subject, I would like to share with you this brief comment that we had from a fisher of the Caribbean who said to us regarding this, where he says the people that dedicate themselves to this activity, they feel the insecurity of trying new things. And most communities focus on what is traditional and feel that they had to have improve, and also learn from other activities that would improve their fishers. But what happens when they start to adapt to the technology? They see in other communities that are also doing it, that they're also addressing the problems. They could be through a digital tool or through this available transfer of knowledge between them. So this has also helped them and their community to know a little bit more of what is happening beyond them. So this is, as an introduction, this is we talking about which are the tools that we and how these digital tools has influenced this fishing. So we see it very important, but I think that it's very important to discuss it, particularly for the people that we work with the fishing communities, and they've been knowledgeable more and more use of the technology and the places where they fish, including things like cameras and mobile devices. And Marfund has a great deal that has in this area. So in COBI, we have with the north of the country, we're also in the fisheries as well. We have sensors to be able to see those, so we can have oceanographic parameters to be able to know what has happened in what's happening with the fishing of and also in the adoption of the mobile applications such as Marfund. It's a window to this platform and to these pages of YouTube or any other platforms that we're called on Zoom or on social media.
Such as Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook. And it's very important to know what the fishing sector is like in terms of these techniques, because it influences very positively in all the aspects. There are several things that we need to mention. One of them is the access to information. This whole window of opportunities that we have on data and information that is on the network. It also helps us to reduce the cost and time of communication. You can communicate directly this way with a family member or directly with the fishing community or a possible buyer. In the terms of equal opportunities, we also recognize it's very important because the fishermen and women have to have equal opportunities and to access to information and to the services provided by technology. Another is also is access and benefit to certain financial services. One of them could be from a message or from being able to access to a platform. You can find information to certain prices and to be able to determine the price of your fishing product, and also to contact with potential buyers, also certain training opportunities and other opportunities, and also to access information such as microcredit, which often are available. So this, after talking about the different aspects of this theme, we also, the positive side, we also have to remember that to understand and to reach certain projects and certain tools, we must never forget to concentrate on the context of the community. How are they acquiring or making use of these technologies? I'm going to talk of 3 gaps that often are found not only in the fishing communities, but in general. One is the gap of usage. What I mean by this is how they have the capacity to be able to use a computer, to use a smartphone or a tablet. Another gap would be the access. For example, if they have a economical acquisition that allow them to buy a mobile or a computer, a cell phone, and together with this to be able to know whether the fishing communities have access to internet or access to even a telephone signal. And another aspect that is not very heard of is the digital revolution, is the quality of usage that we give to all the information that is published. There are many things that are very important that we can learn and absorb the information, but there are other things that we need to learn, that these could be false or fake news. And we have to work on this little by little. So based on this, and in order to strengthen the approach of digital instruments to the fishing community, we need to be able to talk about the transfer of community of knowledge, not only among peers, but also incentivize the commercialization or the marketing of these tools. And also these tools allow us to reach a systematization of certain data and certain automation of certain processes. So as a diverse community, we are very clear that we must leave no one behind. And this is a project in which we work in a parallel way to start to diminish this digital gap that may exist in the fishing communities, to be able to work shoulder to shoulder in this digital literacy program, which is to improve our knowledge and digital skills to be able to take advantage of the technologies that are at hand. So now we have this context of how the communities are, what technologies are being used in the small-scale fishing communities. It is important to identify the needs to be able to provide tools that are adaptable for the context. So this is how we identify in PESCADA. It is something that identifies needs and provides tools that adapt to the context. And the story is that through a need of a fishing organization, the north of country of Mexico, where they needed to have something where they could register faster and their fishing data registries, because this community was working on a project of improvement, fishery improvement. So you might have heard about these projects. So they require certain data, certain information from the fisheries to evaluate the fishing resources to be able to determine what improvement to make for best practices. So based on these needs in this community, we conversed with them. And so PESCADA was created based on this. So PESCADA was born before COVID-19. It was an important point because with the situation we suffered with the pandemic, we noticed and we came to understand how important it was to really use these tools such as PESCADA. And so it is focused on any fishing community that has a need, both systematizing information, but also being able to communicate with members in other fishing communities, other actors, and also to register certain solutions that can be adopted or can be contributed by other communities. This application is free. You can find it in the Android and the stores or the App Store. And there's a web page where you can read more about this application. We have, you can study, you can look at all the improvements that we are having. So what can we find in PESCADA? In this application, we have three main sections: the fishing logbooks, the market, and the solutions. In the fishing logbooks, if there is a user, as a user, you fill your logbook about your fishing day. So watch out here, because one characteristic here is that you can upload your logbook even if you do not have internet. And when you do have a stable connection, your logbook will save itself correctly. In the market area, it is what we're thinking about is to be able to do the following things. You can make bids. You can offer or bid for fishing products. You can also offer services. And also, if you need to request a product or a service, you can do that too. You remember when I mentioned that one of the positive things of the digital tools and the access to the tools is the access to communication, because in the market, we also try to have it every day. It's not the same as having a connection to a fishery community that is near my community, or to listen to the news from other countries, other states. So these communication forums are much wider. So in the solutions, it's basing to have a catalog of all the practices that are solving a problem, certain problems that could appear in a fishery, in a community, and it could be an inspiration for other people. I'm not going to go into this topic very deeply because my co-worker is going to mention it in a few minutes. So one of the multiple subsections of the mobile is the list of species. So we have at the moment 829 species, not only from Mexico, but from other Latin American countries. And these are, you can see the image, you can see the scientific name and the common name. Now, these characteristics will be found in the application of this mobile, but PESCADA also offers other services. It is called a tablet. And this tablet of PESCADA is here to help strengthen the community, the fishing community, because you can download the logbooks, you can keep a registry of the vessels, of the partners, and also you can view general catches or captures. It will help you use your resources. Now here you need to listen to this important message that not everybody has access to this section of PESCADA. The people that decide who has access is the organization, the fishing organization will decide who has access to this dashboard. So if you want to see what is behind the dashboard and what can be done, you can visualize your personal fishing effort, the fishing effort per fisherman, per vessel, and also what is being captured by season, per year. And this will give you a focus to be able to systematize the information that is already happening in the fishing sector. But now what we're doing is digitalizing all these processes. As we know, the fishing organizations have a registry, a hand registry on paper of all this information. So if technology can help you to automatize or systematize these processes, it's important to put this into practice and share it. So through all these activities that can be achieved with technology, what are we seeking? Seeking for empowerment of the users so that through the information that they have at hand, they can make the correct decisions for a good management of their fisheries. There are some very clear and good examples in the Caribbean that through the analysis of these fishing resources, there are specific sites that have been implemented. And so we foster the users to have the information at hand. Another thing that PESCADA is seeking is not just to visualize all this information individually. You can see this in your application, but also as a group, as a fishing organization, because then you can make decisions this way. There are messages that the users have transmitted directly through these trainings that we have had. And they have shared with us that digitalizing these fishing registries and logs have helped them to have a backup of the activities. And often they have to validate the species, the amount of species, and they can validate it with digital. I know there are several people here connected from other countries, but here in Mexico, we have a line of government that is called Senacica that basically helps with the good practices of health and good practices of the fishing resources. And they are requesting the digitalization of this registry. And they are saying Well, PESCADA can help us with this. They can shorten the processes. And when this institution requires information, we can share it with them much faster. And we are talking about a dashboard that is not that is in a web page that is not visible for everybody, but just to the fishing organization. But also we talk about offering a digital presence, one more digital presence to the fishing organizations. How does this directory function and how did it begin? In Mexico, there are about 5,000 fishing organizations, and there are less than 10%, and I think that's a lot, that have a web page. So in this whole process of the digital revolution, and that for them to be able to reach or to attain or to reach the eyes of potential buyers that are looking for fishing resources that are doing best practices, this is something that PESCADA will help us with, to create a directory where not only potential buyers, but other stakeholders can have access to this and to get to know these organizations. This is an open web page. It is totally open. It's available to everybody. And what happens in this directory? I put a brief example here where we can have information of contacts, information to how to share the best practices, potential buyers. But if you have a certification which of any kind that is backed by any of these, then that you can hang it on the directory.
Additionally to that, something that's very important is that we always focus on the negative parts of what we have in the small scale fisheries. But what are the good things? What are the positive things? The directors and the fishers are supported by this because many organizations are doing things properly, but we just have to potentially increase their awareness of what we're doing. And see, when we want to see how they're impacting the different development areas, and particularly in the international area, in the FAOs, for example, the small directorates, and this in the dashboard that they have as a global. It's you can see it in the dashboards of these organizations, and the objective people that we have are the fishers, and they are involved in that, and that's where they do. So there's a very key message here. They're always asking us, when we work with the communities, do we know what the communities are? Where are my information going? And it's very important to mention to them that these data of PESCADA, we don't have it as COBI or as any of the only owners of them are the people that actually originate these data. So they are the ones that are owned it. We can't transfer this information to third parties without the consent of the base fishermen. So this is the documents of privacy that we've come up with, and we have also looking at what is the data that we're going to. So what we're doing is basically contact information to be able to identify who are the users and to address maybe some problems that they might have on the platforms. They might have an error or a problem they might have. We can be able to address their needs in a more. So as to finish, I would like to share with you a bit of the PESCADA digital community. We are 2,146 users. They're mostly from Mexico, but we have from Colombia, from Peru, and from Ecuador as well, fishers. And we are scaling up to try to reach other countries of Latin America and the Caribbean, and they're very connected of the PESCADA information. So as we mentioned, it's not only of Mexico, but also of other countries, or Honduras, Colombia, El Salvador, and Belize also. We've registered through. We've actually come up with logs of 6,155. So we're looking at this. We will see an example of a solution that what we can use, for example, is the management of the cooperative, how they actually have assemblies, and how do they determine there that what is the each one of them can come up with a fund that it can have a savings and loan account. And these activities can be also inspired by other people to be able to do the same thing. Through PESCADA, they can see what the solutions are, and contact them to be able to learn from others. Other activities that we've taken into account is the use of PESCADA data is the in the Yucatan octopus fishes implementation, and this is well that we actually say that they're taking the information and able to register this information to and see how they can improve it. Also, PESCADA also we have also used the type of bait that they're using and the cost of the baits that they use, what they invest. So PESCADA has other information and it's been successful, and we can replicate it with other organizations to improve the fisheries. To finish, I will leave here with you some testimonies from the fishers themselves. These PESCADA is constantly being updated, and if you want to listen to these users, we must listen to the users and be able to adapt to their needs. So this is the WhatsApp account that we have, www.pescadata.org. If you need any more information on it, or if you want to have some training done or the use of this, we can also come up with workshops for you. And if you have information on this, we'd like to also train people that are compiling information to be able to do so. So therefore, from my part, I will close what PESCADA is as a component, and I'm going to go ahead with Magda, my colleague, who's going to the more details. Thank you, Gabi, and thank you, Martha, for this invitation that you give us and this space that we have. As we were talking, Gabriela was commenting that one of the sections that are immersed in this PESCADA information is in solutions, community solutions to the problems. So it's a space that I will tell you a bit about the history of how it's come about. But yes, the investment, to document, to participate, and to share the lessons learned of different communities. It's also got to also upscale it with other sites and how it can be linked to other sectors and support in that regard. If you would like me to share my screen, please. Yes, yes. If you, I'll share it if you'd like to. Sure. I'll do it myself then, she says. Here we go. So how did this initiative actually begin? How did it come about to document these solutions? Because in the 2017, in the Pacific of the Baja California, we were looking at we talked about the lobster was having to have a blister in the head, and it was really a problem that they had never seen before. So that we felt that we would then work with the Stanford University researchers, and we give them photographs and to see why was this happening with the lobster. And at also at the same time, we had also in the Caribbean, we also sent them and fisher told us, yes, This is in our regions. It is, and it happens when there's a lot of rain, and the only thing you have to do is to see to make sure that you'd have less currents coming in from the rain, if it would. So the weeks later, the scientists at the university got to the same conclusion, and we've seen several species, but we see the relevance and the importance of looking for a space, a digital space, to be able to share and be able to have this type of practice and this information. So in that regard, what we're trying to do through PESCADA is so we can document these solutions, and there will be to be able to adapt other local contacts, not only in Mexico, but also in Latin America as well. And also, what we're seeking to do is to be able to share this information with our peers and be able to be able to connect better with the people that are in a direct manner without intermediaries. And also we have that there has a diverse interchange of information, and that will allow people to barriers to be eliminated and allow the individuals to be able to participate, or the groups to participate that at other times were excluded in some form or other. And also in the peer-to-peer groups that we have collaboration between the different communities to construct on the ideas of the other people. And this will allow us to develop solutions, new solutions, innovative ones, and creating new opportunities and create them. So therefore, we will also often refer to what solution. So what is a solution? A solution is an activity or an action. And it synthesizes is an activity or action that has been implemented in a community, in a coastal community, to resolve a challenge or a particular type of problem. So we want to also that they must be implementing something, but what we try to do is through something that's already been done. So be able to actually work with something that has to be done as a pilot project that can be transferred to another community. It'll be co-designed through a collaborative and participated processes to be able to also be replicable, to be able to adapt and implement in different contexts and have a positive impact so that they have a positive benefit to share the social, economic, and biological, and that also will be aligned to the global of the directories of different organizations. So therefore, Gabby was talking about how the directories, the communities have this, to be able to see how they're giving their grain of salt, as it would, to the different objectives that we've done at the global leader. We are measuring the solutions associated of the 5, 8, 13, and 14, and in small scales. I'm going to have brief things. I will also talk about equality of gender, so have the information and opportunities so that the women and youth can have an opportunity to have a positions in their fishing communities, and also implement a project that would be able to find would produce some income for them. So also development of employment and decent words. Where it's an area where the cooperatives can look for the funds to be able to have this part of growth, economic growth inside the communities, and have these funds as a reserve for any contingency. Also, we have some things such as alternatives to fishes, and so be able to have other, it could be tourism or that activities such as this, and also in the action for the climate, use of oceanographic sensors to be able to do is how they measure temperatures, to be able to where you can put the sensor and how to have the information, and be able to capture the information and compare it to prior months or years before. And we are considering the solutions that are focused on sustainable fisheries and practices that would be mitigate or go away from illegal fishing. There's a lot. There's what we can do or how to cope with the marine contamination or pollution and in the beaches or in the fish in the quality of the water itself of the ecosystem.
So the section of solutions in PESCADA can be seen on the right, as Gabi was mentioned, is a catalog where we can see different solutions. And I'm going to show you a video so you can see it live. So this is the way that the catalog can be seen. There are several solutions here. If you're interested in any, you can click on it. I can see who presented it. There's some photos, the description of the problem, what the solution was, some of the challenges that were presented, and how the solution is contributing to these global goals. And also in the general search, you can put keywords to be able to find solutions that can be of our interest. And here we can see this list of solutions that appear in a more specific manner. And also how to document the solutions. So I'm going to show you this video. It's a little bit fast, but it's an example. In PESCADA, in the solutions section, there is a plus symbol where we can add a solution. Any user can do this. Can write a title, what was the problem that was solved, a description of the solution, including how, where, when, with who, and all these details. Maybe some topics that it's associated to, how many women and men were benefited, challenges that presented. And then you can add some photographs from the gallery that have to do with the solution that was documented. You can enter at least 3 photographs. And in the last part, it is asked with whom was the solution implemented. Was it with the government, the community, a social entity, or somebody else? And finally, how many women and how many men participated to implement this solution? And once you finish documenting, you can publish it. And the way it appears is like this. And it appears in this general catalog of solutions. So now, what have we done to document the solutions? We have the application, it's working, we have several solutions. And what have we done and how have we done it? So this began, the section of solution was available in January 2021. And in the middle of that year is when we started to do the workshop. We started with workshops with the intention to receive feedback from the users and to be able to listen to the different needs and the different focus that were for these solutions. And we have actually had 19 workshops. The majority have been virtual, face-to-face, because we started with during the pandemic. The majority have been face-to-face. So what we do is to have the trigger questions. What problems did you solve? How did you solve it? What challenges have you faced when implementing the solution? And this is how we have started to see that the details of these solutions are very relevant. The best way to document them is by including details as I mentioned before, is how it was implemented, with who, when, where, because we have from all of Mexico, and it also helps to know where you are. And we find that this part of the details is very relevant. So as you can see, this is a process that started recently. It's a young process. And this is the way that we have done the documenting in different communities in several places. So a little bit that has to do with how much we have documented and where. 24 fishing cooperatives have entered information, including other groups too, 10 in Mexico, and also we have solutions from 2 countries in Latin America, Chile and Colombia. And you can also see in the last one how the solutions have been contributing to the different sustainable development objectives. The majority contribute to the sustainable development number 14, 13, equality of gender, decent work, economic growth, etc. And we're advancing and moving forward within these global goals. And so for March, there have been 135 solutions in the application. So I would like to give you a couple of examples regarding documented solutions in PESCADA and how these have been a source of inspiration to be able to continue expanding and adapt in different places. The first example was in the community of Punta Allen in Quintana Roo. In this site, they have grouper aggregation sites of the Epinephelus stratus. And what they wanted to do was to see if by collecting water and obtaining DNA, if they could, if this was an alternative to detect aggregation. So this was initiated in 2022 with a researcher that went to the community and trained them so they could learn this technique. And they saw that it worked quite well. And so they decided to expand it and use it in different aggregation sites in the same community of Punta Allen. And so at the moment, somebody has, they have trained with people from the academic sector, and they have people that are taking these water samples and DNA samples to see what species exist there. And the way these solutions have escalated and these monitors have trained other people in the region of Escala for water collecting. And this is a way, that's a solution that started in this community that got together with the academic sector to learn this method. And they also were able to take it to other parts. And they were the ones that learned them how to do this DNA sampling. Another example solution is in Nativity Islands in Baja California, south of Baja California. They have been working for 17 years in marine reserves of no fishing areas where there are 2 polygons. And a long time ago, they did this with the intention to recover populations of high commercial value. So people were trained in the biological monitoring, and they have a lot of collaboration with the academia to see what the status is and different themes. And the point is that a community that was close by found out that they had these practices and of a non-fishing practice, and they also know fishing areas, and they also wanted to follow this example and adapt it in the Valle Asuncion Bay, which is a neighboring community. So with the pandemic, it was a little delayed, but finally this year we were able to promote that people from Natividad and other communities could go together with them and with COBI to receive the first training regarding the different tools that they have in Mexico, so they could decide which was the best tool that they could use for the no fishing tool in their area. So these people from the other communities shared the learning of how to carry out a biological monitoring. And something that started in a small island of the Pacific 17 years ago was expanded to many communities. And now there are other communities that want to implement these best practices and to replicate these examples in order to continue having sustainable oceans, recover these fishing resources of high commercial value for these communities. And last example, so we work with a fishing community in the Pacific community of the Baja California called El Rosario. They've been working for 4 years, relocating hedgehogs, no, son hedgehogs, erizos de mar, to increase the yield of gonads. There was one community that was interested in doing this, but they didn't know what to do first. So what we did was promote an exchange regarding sea urchin, relocating sea urchins. And so the idea was to learn from this experience, adopt it by carrying out the necessary adaptations in this other country. So this is another example of the solutions of different solutions that appear in some community can be used in other communities. So to start closing my presentation, PESCADA is a digital tool where we seek to mobilize solutions, community solutions, that the sector can have this, to be able to visualize, to inspire, to document, not only the sector, also civil organizations, people of the academia that work in the communities. This is a space so that all these efforts can be visualized here and reach other people, inspire them, and so that they can also be replicated without intermediaries. And so even though this has been done in a way where we have been intermediaries in the past, this is a very young and new initiative, but we are seeking that through PESCADA, it's possible now that if you see a solution, you can contact the user that uploaded that solution and to agree with them when you can seek their help or talk more about it. And this is what we are seeking, that there can be a linkage between the people of the sector and any other person that can be a user and is interested in a solution and can have access to these people that are uploading information, and this can be adapted and continue growing and escalating these community solutions that are happening in Mexico and Latin America and other places. So this is my participation. And to close, I would like to comment that my email is on the screen. There is a specific email for this subject of solutions. If you're interested in uploading a solution, you can download the application. You can contact us. If you would like to be part of a workshop, you can also do that. We invite people from different communities in Mexico, and this exchange and solutions are discussed. And it is a very interesting process too. The doors are open for whoever would like to join. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much for your attention. Thank you, Elisa says to both of you, Magdalena. And so thank you for COVID for the space. If you would like, we have got, we're out of time to just tell you that we are going to be able to share in the chat a link to a form, a Google form, to please fill out with your observations and recommendations for the next webinars that we might have. Also, if you have any questions direct for Magdalena or the other one, we can have any questions that you might have. We are out of time right now, but would like to have a space to be able to share information and to be able to share experiences between organizations and with different countries to see how we can use these tools that are so needed and important. So we see how we depended on the internet and everything that is related to technology. So thank you once again. Thank you, COBI, Gabriela, and Magdalena for being here with us, and all of us, all our participants that were present today. I don't know if there's any specific questions. I'm looking now. Yes, we have see. I'm looking at the chat, and only to we go to the end of, if you like to stay on to some direct information that they'd like to have from you. We did see that there's needs in other countries, and particularly also in English as well. As so, what do you comment? So yes, I was looking at the comments. Yes, that says yes, those other applications are in English or Spanish. We only have them in English, but seeing the we have seen the need in other countries, and we've also been contacted by people from Brazil to put it into Portuguese. So we in the future to the medium long term to be able to have it, but mainly in English, and we can see if we can also go into French and Portuguese. But yes, we are looking at it, that we've got several needs that we should be looking into in Portuguese and in French. And some moment, if we can, in French, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and long-term in French. So thank you very much. So yes, it is needed if we can use this tool, other countries as they're already doing so, to be able to to be able to get to everything, Belize, Honduras, Guatemala. So it would be a great plus, and also other countries that you mentioned and more. What I was going to ask is, let's see. How can we see that there's 4 countries that are using it? They have not had any problems of regulations or anything related to to be able to do any modifications to the applications, for example, or the solutions they might present, depending, of course, on the country. The solutions are very wide, and they can be applied. And how is the application? That's a very good question, she says. Lisa, we have to, we come up with a log. So it's more used in other countries. They might, the name log could be used differently. And there's a different components of Mexico, but since we trying to open up to other fisheries to be able to the names, to be able to say, have the concept that we have. We're concentrated only on the part of Mexico, but we also sometimes change certain concepts that should be more general, not focused on what we say or do in Mexico. We have had this. This is these pescadata train that we've done. We've actually had this uh, we call this and that. So there's also the dashboard that we could be able to see what the, for example, the permit can be, the word permit can also be varied from country to country. So any that you might have to improve this presentation, we will welcome greatly. So it's very good to share with everybody the application and the initiative to be able to evolve in a dynamic way. Thank you very much, Gabriela. And the other question was, how can we see the position of the app with the identity of the fish themselves, the species of the fish, and be able to share at a larger scale? This is the identify of the species. Is the big question is not very clear, but I see it as two components. One is that we is very limited time, but yes, the PESCADA is built to be able to link up. So the species, we don't do it as a PESCADA COVID, but we from Enciclovida is the name of the platform that we choose of the biodiversity in Mexico, and it's connected to other platforms that are called Naturaliza, and it's an international platform. So this is something that is very important to mention. So once you create a lot of digital to be able to recognize all the information that exists, because that reduces the time we spend on it, and also the economic aspects of it. So we must be able to connect with other platforms that already have this information. Another thing I wanted to chat with you is that other people that we've trained. I'm not a fisher, but I am a monitor. So I'm actually a diver, and I register it. And the listing of the species that we have in the application has helped to what the species I'm registering, because there's an image as well as a name to be that help me identify the species. So we are contributing then, if you would, to the knowledge and identifying the different species when we do a monitoring of the fisheries. So that in that regard, I don't know if I got the question right. Please let me know. Yes, she says yes, it was related. Lisa says yes. If we can actually see the section to be able to see to these two sites, or these libraries, to be able to go get directly and see the application there. Yes, you can go to the listing and see all the species and see if there's a species that the user doesn't have we can also share the information and also have it with us all. So thank you very much, all of you ladies. We can't take any more time for our participants. So, and for you also, but I want to see if anybody would be continue to participate with these questions and this information, this very valuable information. We can stay for a couple of more minutes, and even though I don't see any hands or questions. So thank you once again, with a lot of affection towards you at COBI and all the participants. Thank you very much for your participation. And remember, please, that please fill in the Google form that we've shared on the chat, and also follow our social networks of COBI and to see what we are doing and what's coming up into the future. What's new project that has the use of these tools and how we can share all of them to be able to put together a wider network for the use of this tool. So if there's anything else that you, Magdalena, go right ahead. So thank you, Elisa. She says, yes, thank you for the times and the spaces. We are open to the communications and collaborations, as we mentioned in my presentation. I also have my email is there. You can write to us and also call me and to work how the application works. If you are interested in taking this community to a different community, we can support each other. And if you want to also be facilitators for this tool, also we would like to hear from you, because it's not only is to tell them about PESCADA, but also working parallel of how we can put into the table, as a word, of the fisheries, of how we adapt this technology. Excellent. So thank you very much, says Elisa. We're going to share this information, and we have the what we've been able to tape this. So we're going to also share with our web page as well, and our contacts, so that anybody that's interested can be able to connect and to write in some way or the other. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody. And we are finishing, closing off this webinar, and we're stopping so if anybody has any question, we're going to be off recording.